He is a member of the Homeland Security and Financial Services Committee. Congressman, great to see you. Another probe into the president and another probe that's hanging over his State of the Union. What do you think?
I think it's another probe. I mean, the fact is, the only probe that I really know very much about is the one that was begun 2.5 years ago by the FBI and then carried on by Mueller as far as Russian collusion, and that's shown absolutely nothing. So I assume this.
Well, they've had a lot of people plead guilty. I don't think it's shown absolutely nothing. And they've also had some convictions.
So the Democrat Party activist who claims to be a journalist, Katie Tur, claims that, oh no, there's been this investigation has been very fruitful. There's been all these convictions. There's been all these indictments and all these guilty pleas. I'm sorry, but no, there hasn't. None of these things that has come around, none of these indictments, none of these guilty pleas has anything to do with Russian collusion. None of them. They're all, quote, process crimes, which basically is just you lied during investigation, or maybe you just misremembered something or didn't have a detail correct when you were questioned by the FBI or under oath. And so now they have information that contradicts that, and now you're being prosecuted for lying to the FBI. This is something that they're doing because this investigation, as Peter King points out, has been going on for 2 years now and has produced nothing. All it has done is it's been used as a weapon by both the media and the Democrat Party against Trump, which is what it was designed to do from the very beginning. This is, after all, the insurance policy that Peter Strzok was talking about. At least I believe it is. If Katie Tur is so concerned with people being prosecuted for the crime of lying to the FBI, why isn't she calling for the former FBI director, Andrew McCabe, to be prosecuted? He lied under oath, and we know this thanks to the Inspector General report that said that he lied at least 4 times to investigators. He's not being prosecuted. What about the Clinton aides, Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin? They lied to FBI, claiming that they knew nothing about Hillary's private email server. That turned out to be a lie.
Absolutely nothing as far as collusion or involving the president. Nothing showing any collusion at all between the Trump campaign and Putin or the Russians, and that was the purpose of why it was started back in August or September of 2018 by Comey and then carried on by Mueller. So far that's been zero as far as collusion. That's the story that none of your commentators talk about.
Would you expect them to come out with that, though, before the investigation is over? Are you saying just because they haven't announced it already, that means that there can't possibly be that conclusion coming in the future?
Oh, the irony of Katie Tur of MSNBC, known left-wing activist, going after Peter King for prejudging the investigation into Trump. Are you kidding me? MSNBC, CNN, the rest of the DNC media, all of these networks prejudged this from day one. And they've been hammering on this story, no matter if the facts are right or not. And we've seen it multiple times where they've put out a report and it turned out that the report was complete bunk. Just a couple weeks ago, the BuzzFeed story, that turned out to be completely bunk. And then a couple days later, they put out the Covington kid story that also turned out to be completely bunk. I don't know where these people think that they have some sort of moral high ground to lecture everybody else, especially about prejudging the Trump-Russia investigation. Are you kidding me?
It's possible. But again, I sat through, again, on the Intelligence Committee, almost all of the key witnesses, hours and hours and hours of sworn testimony, and I've seen nothing at all that leads at all in any way to President Trump or candidate Trump at that time. And as far as this investigation, the only individual in the Southern District who seems to be zeroing in on is a person who's a big contributor to Barack Obama as well. Now listen, and if the tour guides are Rick Gates and Michael Cohen, both of them are people who pleaded guilty and are trying to make a deal for themselves. So again, anything can happen. I don't want to prejudge.
It sounds like you're prejudging. It sounds like you've decided that you're not going to believe anything that comes out of this investigation. You just implied that Cohen and Gates are liars and they're trying to cooperate.
Oh boy. Okay, so what we have here is Peter King, a representative who has interviewed people, like you said, hundreds of people. He's gone through all this testimony, and he's seen absolutely nothing going back to Trump, having to do with Trump, having to do with Russian collusion, or any of that. And yet it's Katie Tur who, she knows all this is true, and yet she has a job to perpetuate a narrative in order to advance the Democrat Party. And that's what she's doing right here. She wants to make it seem like Peter King's the weird one for thinking that there's nothing to this. I mean, he's seen no evidence of it. There's been no evidence of it. What has Katie Tur seen that has her so convinced? There has been nothing out there. And in fact, story after story has been put down. I mean, we just found out that the Mueller investigation is going to be wrapping up soon, allegedly, although that's what's supposed to happen, but mark my words, it probably won't. But it's supposed to conclude soon, and they're already out there downplaying expectations that there will be any Russian collusion. That's because there isn't any. Trump has said from the beginning he's never deviated from it. There was no Russian collusion. I've seen nothing that would lead me to believe that Russians buying some Facebook ads or making memes influenced the election in any way. People had a choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. People hate Hillary Clinton, so a lot of people hate Trump, and people just voted for the opposite person. I mean, that's literally all that happened there. And I want to point out, way back after the election, when they first started, on day one, when they started this whole Russian meddling narrative, I predicted that as long as Democrats were winning elections, they would say there was no meddling. But the second Democrats lose elections, they're going to say, oh, the Russians meddled in that election. And it's turned out to be true. A story just came out today saying that, oh, the 2018 elections went perfectly. There was no Russian meddling, no collusion. Everybody can just breathe easy now because, hey, the Democrats won, and that's how it's supposed to be.
No, so that is obviously you know they're liars because they pleaded guilty. That doesn't mean they're lying now. But I'm saying if that's all you're relying on, then you have to see where it goes. Now, I have an open, unlike many of the people who prejudge the president, I'm not prejudging this. I'm saying absolutely nothing has been shown yet, nothing at all indicating criminal activity by the president or people around him. And so let's see where it goes. But I think it just shows the appetite of the media. They hear an investigation and they presume someone is guilty. Unless, of course, it's someone who is on the left wing. If they're being investigated, then we have to talk about due process and civil rights and justice for all.
And of course, Peter King is exactly right here. When Democrats are caught up in scandals, the media circles the wagon, says, oh, we can't judge these people yet. We have to wait on more facts. Oh, these critics are pouncing. These Republican critics are pouncing on this story. They're seizing on it. If you go and look at the media and the news stories over the last few days in regards to Northam, the Democrat governor, you're going to see lots of media stories where they talk about the Republicans pouncing on it. This is what the media does in service of Democrats, being the opposition party like they are. That is their job. Yet when it's a Republican, they're all over it. They'll get out there and they'll do as much damage as they can right away. And that way that, if it turns out their story is incorrect, they can just quietly move on. And guess what? There's a large percentage of people that are still going to be buying into the original story. This is why they're called the drive-by media. And I actually dealt with this firsthand when I went to that Antifa rally against the Covington kids. Half these people, or most of them, had never seen the entire video, knew nothing about what I was talking about when I brought up, some of the other things that happened there, like the kids being told to go back to Europe. So this is a strategy that the media uses, and I would say it's pretty effective.
Any presumption that's being made here, we're reporting the facts of the investigation.
Katie, you're so excited over this. You talk about all the potential, all that could be there, and so far nothing's come out. And maybe it will. Who knows?
It's another investigation. Add to the many investigations into the president, and he's the president of the United States, which warrants. I'm not going to argue about our news coverage because it warrants news coverage because he's the president of the United States. I want to talk about.
Try to control your excitement. Try to control your excitement a bit. Then you'll be more.
I'm perfectly in control.